Kakalosh Bokato, we're continuing now on Peizain Amud Bet, the Mishnah, 87b, the Mishnah, towards the lower half of the page. The Mishnah says, Gezustera she'i lemala min hamayim, when you have this porch, balcony, right, which is above the water. Yeah, here's the picture, if everyone could see the picture.
Number?
888.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so if you see this Gezustera, which is above the water, En memalin hemena b'Shabbat. You may not fill up water, right, on Shabbat with this gezustera. Okay, why? Because what happens is that the yam is considered a karmelit, and the gezustera is considered a reshut yachid. Says the Mishnah, Ela imken asu la mechitza gavo 10 tvachim, unless you make a mechitza 10 tvachim tall. Okay, now ben milamala, whether above, ben milamata, whether below. Right? It doesn't matter where you do it. When you have two of them, one on top of each other. So 1 second. This one you see, it's going to be, Rashi says it's a mechitza al kol sevivotea. So this is the first shita in Rashi. That means, mamash, you have the deli is here. Here you see the deli, the pitcher, the bucket. Yeah, and you're going to bring it down. So this is one shita of a gezustera above 10 tfachim. You have walls 10 tfachim, or this one, which is whether it's above the 10 tfachim or it's going to be below. You see, this is the 10 tfachim below, 889.
Does it matter if it's a picture of the first or the second picture?
No, that's what Rashi says. Doesn't matter which one it is. The truth is, okay, yeah. Okay, now says the Gemara, sorry, this is the Mishnah, V'chen shte gezusterot, zo lemala mizo. Same when you have two gezustarot, one on top of the other. The next one is another shita.
Where's the picture for two? One on top of the other?
892. 892. וכן שתי גזוזות זו לא מזו עשו לעליונה ולא עשו לתחתונה, שתיהן אסורות עד שערבו. So if they only made to the top one, the 10 tfachim here, but they didn't make anything to the bottom one, so they're both going to be prohibited until they make an eruv. Okay, until here we're clear?
Well, I mean, they're far away from each other. They're not level. I mean, how many tefachim does the bottom from the top? Does it matter? He's got to throw with a rope. I mean,
okay, let's see. No, he's obviously far away from each other, but still, that's what he's saying. That's the fact that they only did it on the top one and not the bottom one. So therefore, that's why until they make an eruv, they're
this
both
bottom
brother.
guy prohibits the top guy?
Yeah. Okay, fine. So says the Gemara, Matnitin de law ke Hananiah ben Akavia. Our Mishnah is not like Hananiah ben Akavia. The Tanya was learned to the right. Hananiah ben Akavia, Omer, Hananiah ben Akavia says, Gezustra sheyesh ba arba al arba amot, a gezustra that has 4 by 4 amot, chokek ba arba al arba, you're going to be chokek in the middle of it by 4 by 4 tfachim, umemale, and then you're going to fill it up. Okay, so again, according to him, if you've got 4 by 4 amot, just make in the middle a 4 by 4 tfachim hole, and then you're allowed to fill it up, and there's no problem.
You don't need any machitza.
Yeah, you don't need anything. Okay, so Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Nishum Rabbi Yosef ben Zimra, says Rabbi Yochanan in the name of Rabbi Yosef ben Zimra, Lo yiti Rabbi Hananiah ben Akavia, ela biyama shel Tiberia. Rabbi Hananiah ben Akavia did not permit this only in the yam of Tiberia, which is the Kinneret. Oil v'yeshla oganim, because since it has high banks, this is around, right, or here you have it, the wall.
Natural,
yeah, the natural things, right? You have the wall. So it says, since you have it, what happens? You have the cities and the storage houses of wood which are surrounding it, right? Aval. So therefore, what happens is that the water that comes inside of it is becoming a reshut yachid. However, those shar mimot and other banks of water and other places of water, bodies of water, lo, he didn't permit it. Okay, fine. Says the Gemara, Tanu Rabbanan. Yeah, we learned in a Braita. There were 3 things that permitted Rabbi Hananiah ben Akavia to the people of Tveria. Malin mayim gezustera b'Shabbat. You're allowed to fill up water from a gezustera on Shabbat. V'tomnin be'atza u'mistapkin be'aluntit. You're allowed to do hatmana with atza, which is psolet kitniot, the refuse of kitniot, of like types of beans and things like that. Umistapkin baluntit, and you're allowed to dry yourself, right, on Shabbat and Yom Tov with a towel after you already washed yourself. Okay, those were 3 heterim that Rabbi Yochanan ben Akavia permitted to Anshe Tveria. So now the Gemara is going to explain. Malim ma'im mi gezustera b'Shabbat. You're allowed to fill up water from a gezustera on Shabbat. That's what Hadi Amran, that which we just mentioned. Tomnim be'atzah. What's the case that you're allowed to do a tmana with this atzah, with the refuse of kitniot? Ma'hi, what is it? The time we learned on Braita, hishkim, if a person woke up early, lavi psolet, to bring psolet, refuse of the grain, right, from the sadeh, in order to use it for hatmana. Im bishvil sheyesh alav tal, right, if right now he wants that the psolet should be there, and he wants the tal, the dew, which is on it, in order to moisten the fruits, yeah? So he comes and he says he wants to moisten the fruits. So then what happens? So he comes and he says, yeah, in such a scenario, harehu bechiyutan. So then you have the concept of chiyutan. Remember, the concept of chiyutan is that in order for a fruit to become susceptible for tum'ah, so you need that their water or any of the 7 liquids, yad shachatam, right, which is yain, dvash, all these different types of liquids, they all have to come onto it willingly. Willingly means that you want it there. Right? Now, if it's going to be that you do not want it to be batel, right, for the rest of the day, right? So he says, eno bechiyutan. So then the tal which is on the psolet is not bechiyutan, right? It doesn't make it susceptible for tuma, right? Because even though you know that the psolet is lacha, the psolet is going to be moist because of the dew, right? He says that you don't want it there. Umina stam, and from the stam, right? Pechet amud aleph, right? Umina stam Anshe Tveria kemi shelo yibatel melachto alami. It's mistama that the people of Anshe Tveria, which all these people were working all day, right? So therefore it says kemi shelo yibatel melachto alami. He's just doing it in order that he should not become batel from his melacha, meaning he doesn't want to waste time from his work. He has to go to work. So now what does he do? He's going to wake up early, right, in order to come and put it on. But now, one second, in the morning, early mornings, we know that there's dew. And dew, tal, is yad shachat, right? The tet of shachat is tal, is dew. So if dew is one of the liquids which makes a fruit susceptible for tumah. But he says, no, but here you're just doing it in order that you don't want that you're going to be batil from your work. So because of that, right, that's what he's saying over here. So because of that, it's not going to be susceptible for tumah. Okay? Umistapkin baluntit, and you're going to be mistapkin baluntit. Says the Gemara, right? What does that mean? You're going to dry yourself after, right, on Shabbat and Yom Tov with a towel. Maihi, what's the concept? The Tanya was we learned in a Braita, mistapeg adam baluntit umanicha b'chalon. You're allowed to dry yourself with a magevet, with a towel, and then you're going to put it in the chalon, which is close to the merchatz. But you're not allowed to bring it with you. Okay, why? Because maybe you're going to come and you're going to squeeze it. You're not allowed to give it to the balan, balan is like the male one, but the balanit is the same concept. The attendant. They're basically the person that's taking care of the bathhouse. Because they are going to be suspected al oto dovar, which means they're going to be suspected on schitat magevet on Shabbat. That means we suspect them, they're going to start squeezing the towel on Shabbat. Rabbi Shimon says, you could even bring it to your house even. And we're not going to suspect that you're going to come and you're going to start squeezing it. So it comes out here that Rabbi Yochanan ben Akavia, he permitted the people of Tveria to dry themselves after washing themselves in the bathhouse on Shabbat and Yom Tov. So for example, you go to the mikveh, right? And then afterwards you dry yourself, no problem. Okay?
They use the aluntit also to dry themselves, no?
Well, the aluntit is to dry themselves. The aluntit is the towel.
I thought it was a beged.
No, the aluntit is magevet. It's a magevet. Yeah, that's aluntit.
I understood that was like a robe. A
robe. No. This is aluntit. What I don't understand is that nowadays, what would you suspect the balanim? Any type of an attendant, if he would give you a dirty towel, you would send him, I don't know where.
What's your question, Rabbi?
Here it says you're not allowed to come and you're not allowed to give it to the balanim. Why? Because they're suspected on squeezing it. Why would he squeeze it?
To give it to the next person.
Nowadays, if you gave somebody, right, a used towel and you're an attendant,
depends in the neighborhood you live. Right?
Okay. Fine.
That.
Huh?
You
second that? Okay. Very good. Fine. Next. Amar Rabba Baravuna. Says Rabba Baravuna. Lo shanu ela lemalot. What are we talking about? We're on the two dots. We just said that you're talking about limalot, which means you're going to fill the water on top of the gezustera. Aval lishpoch, but if you want to throw water through this gezustera downwards, it's going to be asur. Remember that shofchin, right, or lishpoch means you're going to throw bad water. So imagine right now you just had dirty water, you just washed your dishes, right? In the olden days, they didn't have like how do you call it? Not the faucet, the sinks that used to go straight down below underneath the tubes. They would have to throw it out of the house. So imagine you just wash your dishes or you wash whatever it is, and now you have dirty waters. So now you want to throw it right downwards. Okay?
It says here, Rashi seems to indicate concern is limited to a balcony which extends over a flowing river.
Well, obviously, that's what we're talking about.
No, but this is ocean. Let's say this is an ocean.
Okay, fine. Okay.
A river is different. That's moving
Okay,
fast.
fine. Yeah, he says here, because why? Because the Zerem HaMayim is taking it outside of the mechitzot that you made for the gezustera. It's taking it outside of the mechitzot that you did it. Okay. So says the Gemara, Matkifla Rav Shizbi asks, what's the difference between throwing out the waters, the bad waters? Remember, shofkin are bad waters, right? That you're throwing it out of this hole in the gezustera, right? And it's going to be asur to the uka. The uka is basically a hole that you put it inside the chatzer. So you have, how's it called? Cesspool. Okay. You have a little tiny, pit or whatever it is in your chatzer, and that's where they put all the bad water. Yeah? So says the Gemara, Hani taime vehani lo taime. Says, no, the water which you throw into the uka are kalim, which means they get absorbed into the ground and then there's nothing there anymore. However, though, the water that you throw through the gezustera, it's never going to be kalim. It just continues going with the flow of the water. It just continues going. Yeah, you're just adding to the body of water. Ikadam, neither are those that say, Amar Rabba Baravuna says Rabavuna, Lo tema lemalot, don't say that to fill it up is going to be permitted, but lishvoch is going to be prohibited, and lishvoch, even to pour out is going to be permitted. That means according to this Ikadamni, it's permitted to throw the water through that. How do you want to call this thing again, Richard?
What's that?
No, this one. The cesspool was in the field.
That's the balcony?
Yeah, in the balcony, but in the hole of the balcony. I don't know what you want to call it. Okay, whatever it is. Right, this is also going to be permitted. Remember to make my cursor.
Cesspool.
Yeah.
No, the cesspool is in the middle of the chatzer, of the courtyard. Now here we're talking about this 4x4 tfachim hole in the middle of your porch, in your middle of the balcony.
It says here the cesspool
Okay. I don't know.
for amos and contain no more than 2 seah of liquid.
Yeah, they're giving you
It's a fountain.
guidance.
It's a fountain.
What?
Fountain.
Fountain?
Yeah, but it's a pit, and you're filling it up with bad water, and then it's just getting absorbed into the ground.
It's not a fountain. Fountain is for drinking.
Adornment. There's an adornment type of.
Yeah. No, but this is shofchim. This is mamash bad water. So hopefully,
Really.
yeah,
Refuse.
yeah. So Amar of Shizbi says, Pshita, obviously, Hainuka. This is an uka. The Gemara says, no, Maudatim, I would have thought to say now it's the other way around. Hani taimi v'anulo taimi. The one of the uka is going to be, meaning the cesspool is going to be absorbed in the ground, and this one is not going to be absorbed. Kamashmalan comes teach you that it's still going to be permitted. So basically, we have two different versions in the Gemara, whether it's going to be permitted or prohibited. In the first one, where we said prohibited, we asked why is it prohibited? It should be permitted. We made the difference between the cesspool and this hole in the balcony. And the second one, when we said permitted, we said obviously it's permitted. It's like the cesspool. So he said no. We would have thought to say that it's different. Kamashmalan that it's the same. 2 dots. Right?
Picture.
Yeah, there's a nice picture, 893. Right? The same halacha would apply to two gezustarot, one above each other. Amar Avuna Marav, says Avuna name of Rav. Lo shanu ela besmucha. What are we talking about that they're both going to be prohibited? Only if the two balconies are going to be close to each other. Okay? So he says that's a picture 893. Smucha. It says there it's going to be less than 4 tfachim. Okay.
The
The
separation.
rope.
Yes. Yeah, okay, but you don't
Maybe
need
there's
to.
another.
Okay. So 893. Yeah, you have it over there? So it's within the 4 tfachim. How is that 4 tfachim? I don't understand. Okay. This looks much more than that, but okay. I don't know. Here it says it's less than 4 tfachim. Okay, aval mufleget. But if it's going to be more than the 4 tfachim, Elyona muteret, the top one is going to be permitted, and obviously the bottom one is going to be prohibited. Okay? V'Rav letamen. Rav goes according to his reasoning. The Amar Rav, Rav says, "En adam oser al chavero
It
derechavir."
has to be the
A person-
lateral. It's lateral measurement within 4 lateral tefachim. That's why it looks so high, far away, but laterally it's only 4 tefachim. You understand? When side to side, it's less than 4 tefachim.
I mean, the measuring the diagonal.
Not diagonal. This if you were
I understand the diagonal measurement is higher.
I'm saying if you were to measure straight towards the other one at a right angle, it's going to be less than 4 tefachim. It's just higher. They're not talking about the difference in height.
You are correct. I apologize. That's here.
But you didn't say anything different.
You're right, but I didn't understand it.
Okay,
And that's why I was looking at it and I'm trying to understand how, because if you see here, the line in this picture, if everyone could see my cursor, the line's going up and down, and then it says here, Pachom me'arba tefachim. So that was my question. My question was, this looks like much more than 4 tefachim.
Yeah, the whole
But
thing
then-
is Rav and Shmuel and 84B.
Right. No, but then I just realized that this Pachom me'arba tefachim is going on right here. Right, you see the picture? Right here, there's a little tiny white line. And that's where it says less than 4
Oh,
tefachim.
yeah, look at that.
You see that?
Now I see the little line.
You see that little line? So I didn't see that at the beginning. I only saw the lines, the dotted lines going up. And it says less than 4 tefachim. I said, what? This is less than 4 tefachim? How could that be? It doesn't make sense. But now I just saw it. You lose the, how do you call it? The crystal clear, the picture, becomes pixelated the second you do too. The problem is when it's too far away, you also don't see it properly. You could hardly see it also. I'm now at
I have the line
200%. Yeah. Okay. Fine, let's go. Let's next picture. This is this picture. Mufleget. If it's going to be mufleget, meaning more than 4 tefachim, so then the top one is permitted, bottom one is prohibited. Okay, so says the Gemara, this Rav is going according to his reasoning, but says Rav, En adam oser al chavero derechavir. A person cannot prohibit on his friend through the airspace. Okay, so this is Rav l'shitato, which means that even though I could use his airspace, I cannot prohibit upon him using his upper balcony. Amar Rabba bar Amar Ruchia, says Rabba in the name of Ruchia. Rav Yosef Amar Yoshia and Rav Yosef in the name of Yoshia. Yesh gezel b'Shabbat v'churba machzir leba'alim. This is interesting. There's a gezel of reshuyot on Shabbat, which means somebody that comes and during the weekday comes and uses, right, his friend's property. For example, a churba, a ruins, right? That basically they don't use it. So what happens is, so it's like that he's using the ruins also on Shabbat, and therefore it's permitted for him to come and to use it on Shabbat even without an eruv, because it's like that he stole the property. Let's see if there's any here.
No, because he used it during the week.
Yes, haragil lishamesh bechol b'shuto shel chavero. So now he's going to be permitted also on Shabbat to use it even without an eruv.
No. It says the opposite. Although the neighbor regularly uses the property without express permission, the law there requires him to return the property, acknowledge the owner's debt, dominion over it by joining him in an Erev to permit parenting in the rule.
One more time. It says here, נחשב שולט בחורבה אף לעניין טלטול בשבת, ומותר לטלטל מביתו לחורבה, אף שלא עירב עם בעל החורבה. דומה החורבה לגזלה ביד גזלן של רשות הגזלן.
I don't know what to make out of it.
One second. וחורבה מחזיר לבעלים, איסור עירובין, מחזיר את החורבה לבעליה על כורחו של זה המשתמש בה בחול, שכן אינו חורבה נחשב בשבת שליטתו של בעל הבית הסמוך, ואסור לטלטל בכל בין ביתו לחורבה. הרי שאיסור עירובין מוציא את החורבה מרשות זה משתמש בה בחול, מחזירה בשבת לבעליה.
There's 2 opinions. One says it's okay, and the other one says no.
Exactly. That's what it is. But that's what the Gemara is going to ask, because I was explaining the first one and you jumped on me, and you're on the second one.
I'm sorry.
And we're both right.
All right.
No, but we're both right.
Something
the
to
first
learn here, by the way.
right?
The first one is okay, and the second
exactly.
it doesn't
The
allow
first
it.
one, it says, Yesh gezel b'Shabbat, which means that it is considered as if that I stole it on Shabbat, which means that since I always use it during the weekday, it's considered that I also am able to continue using it on Shabbat, and therefore I don't need to make an eruv. The second one was, Churba machzir leba'alim, that the Churba returns to its owners, which means that it forces the return to the owner, then I do need to make an eruv. So therefore the Gemara is going to ask, you're being suteret atzmicha, you're contradicting yourself. Amarta, you just said yesh gezel b'Shabbat, that you're allowed to steal on Shabbat alma. So you see kanya that you acquired it, and therefore you don't need to make an eruv. V'churba machzir leba'alim. I'm okay, but then it says it goes back to the original owners. So therefore, you cannot acquire it. So it's a contradiction. Yeah.
Resolve it quickly.
So says the Gemara, Hachi Kamra. This is what it means to say. Yesh din gezel b'Shabbat. There is a din gezel on Shabbat that you could steal it on Shabbat. What is the case? Keitzad v'churba machzir lebe'alim. That the churba is going to be machzir lebe'alim. What does that mean? Din gezel means hashavat gezel. Hashavat gezel. You understand what hashavat gezel means? That you're returning something which was stolen. And why is that? Because you do need to make an eruv. So therefore, by doing that, that's how you're returning something which is stolen. Okay? So it's basically like the second opinion, halacha l'maaseh, which is churba machzir ba'alim. But just when it said yesh gezel, doesn't mean that it's yours. It just means that you stole it, now you have to return it. Okay, so Amar Rabba says, we're going to ask this on the Braita. If you're going to tell me that there's a concept of hashavat, right, that it goes back, so why is it going to be asurot? Right? He says, obviously. And the bottom one is using it, shelo kadin. So answers the Gemara, Amar Rav Sheshat says, they made a mechitza through the partnership. There's no picture.
Well, the guy obviously uses a rope on the bottom.
Okay, fine. So says the Gemara, if they do it on the bottom, it's also the same thing. So says the Gemara, once they did it on the bottom one, so he says he's revealing his mind, right, that I don't want to be together with you. Which means the second that he's coming, he's making a mechitza, he's showing, I don't want anything to do with you. So once he made the mechitza, that's it. There's nothing else. Right? He separates himself from him, and therefore it does not help anymore. Okay? Fine. Next. Picture 896. Chatzer shehi pechuta me'arba amot. When you have a chatzer which is going to be smaller than 4 amot by 4 amot, right? That's the picture here. 896, it's smaller than 4 amot by 4 amot. Shavchin betocha, you cannot throw inside of it mayim b'Shabbat, water in Shabbat, whether it's for nitilat yadayim or rechitzat kelim, whatever it is on Shabbat. Why? Because basically what's going to happen is they're going to go into the Reshut Rabim. Okay? Ela im ken asu la uka, unless you're going to make an uka. Remember, the uka is, I think this is the part of the picture here, the uka, like a little hole.
You know, we don't call it a cesspool. We call it, people like, our city has, drainage. Garbage. But if you go buy a house in the country, you dig a hole, you put rocks in there, and then you'd put a drain so that you could wash garbage and it would seep in there. I forget what they call it. I don't remember.
Okay. So you're saying there's another word for it. It's not only just
you see drains, somebody has a drain. If you keep a dog in a cage, there's a hole in the bottom and you wash it and it goes down.
Right. Okay.
In the ground.
Very good.
This is a ruin next to the house?
It's not a ruins. They dug a little tiny pit over here inside in order to throw water, and then the water just keeps on being absorbed in the ground.
What's the name of that?
Okay.
Okay. So now it says here, which is going to be holding satayim to siah from the nekev and downwards. So only if it's going to be minimum that it has a satayim, that it's going to be permitted. Ben mi bachutz, ben mi bifnim, right? Whether it's going to be on the inside, right, or on the outside. Ben, right? Ela mi bachutz tzarich lamekor. But if it's going to be on the outside, tzarich likmor. You have to cover it with nisarim, with planks of wood.
I'm lost. Where are you?
In the Mishnah.
Tzarich likmor.
How they can do that on the inside?
Where are you, Rav Shizmi?
I don't know. 88A somewhere at the beginning, right?
No, we're on the bottom of the page. We're by the Mishnah.
Bottom of 88A?
Yeah.
Oh, something happened to me. I don't know.
We're in the middle of Mishnah. Rav Shizmi was all the way towards the top.
Cuts are less than 4 amot.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. So now it says, if it's going to be on the inside, you don't have to cover it, basically. So now Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov says a biv. So this biv is like a tzinor, right? So this is like what you were talking about, like, these, what you have a ditch or whatever it is. This is 897 is the next picture, where you put planks of wood on top of it.
It's in the Reshut Arabim. It's a
Yeah.
charitz.
It's like a sewer type of a thing.
Sewer.
Yeah, sewer. Look in 898. That is the next
But
picture.
that's exactly what you were telling. Something
I'm looking
they
at
make
Biv
more
shehu kamur
a canal.
400.
They make a canal
Yeah.
kind of a thing.
So look, here you have a biv shehu kamur 400 birshut rabim shofchim l'tocho mayim Shabbat. This is the next picture, 898. Okay, so that's a biv, which is in the Reshut Rabim, and you're pouring it from your property, going underneath into their property. How does it connect, actually? Because it starts in your property. Interesting, it goes underneath the wall. You saw?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah? Okay. Shofchin l'tocho mayim Shabbat, you are allowed to pour water into it in Shabbat. Chachamim says, afilu gag o chatzer me'ama, even if you have a gag or a chatzer or 100 amot, lo yishpoch al pi abiv, do not pour it inside of it.
Directly.
Right. So he says, because if it's not,
Pour it onto the roof and let it drip down.
yeah, let's see if we have a picture of that as well. No?
We had pictures of that somewhere else, maybe in Shabbos, I don't remember.
Okay. Aval shofech hu l'gav v'mayim yodin l'biv, and then it goes down. Achatzer v'achsadra, that's the next picture, 899. Mitztarfin la'arba
One
amot.
second, Rabbi. Sorry, I don't understand something. In Shabbat, you can pour water on the Adamah?
On the ground, he's worried about watering the grass or something.
Well, that's why it's a sewer.
Well, here there's no grass.
Doesn't matter, but it goes because you open that drainage and it's in the ground. It
So
may
it's
go
permitted.
You're allowed. I mean, I think that we're learning. You're
Hold on
allowed
one
to do it
second.
with certain limitations. The hole's got to be, can't be too big.
This is, you know,
You can't run out and cause a nuisance and push a robin.
Well, again, you're asking a good question, but again, it's not written anything to do with Ilchot Shabbat here. Here it sounds that it's permitted, yes.
wow.
It says you're permitted to
Okay.
do it. No, even before, the beginning of the Mishnah.
But it's not on the ground, it's in the pit.
Exactly, no, but what he's trying to ask is that you're like making it more fertile. But I think that's like what Richard said. As long as there's no grass there and you're not making anything plant, so I guess it's permitted.
Happen.
And how do you know there are no seeds on the ground?
Because it's not normal to have it.
Saying what? You have seeds. If you dig a pit in your backyard, now you're gonna have seeds.
Well,
I mean,
maybe
if there's a tree around and the seeds
they can fall off the tree, of course.
Yeah, and then
But
you
it's
put
not
in
the
water.
normal-
And
Okay, but I don't think it's normal. I don't
That's
think it's normal to suspect that. But again, technically speaking, it's a good question. But he doesn't speak about Ilchot Shabbat here. I don't even see it here.
Okay.
Like nobody speaks about the concept of. They speak about later on in footnote 27 here. He speaks about Shenu Mitkaven, that the water is going out to the Reshut Rabim. It could be it's a doraita. So, but again, it's all chotza and things like that. But nobody speaks about. Nobody speaks about the the zorea or things like nobody speaks about anything about watering.
Maybe it's going to come now.
Okay, let's see. So it says the Gemara. Sorry, we're in the Mishnah still. Belezim Yaakov says, "Bivshu kamur 400 birshut rabim, shavchin l'tocho mayim mishabach." Chachamim say, "Afilu gag or chatzer 100 ma." Even if you have a gag or a chatzer which is 100 amot, yishpoch pi biv. We did this. Aval shovechu legag v'yimayim yivdim lebiv. So you pour it on the roof and then it's going to go down to the biv. Chatzer v'achsadra. That's where we have to. So 899. Picture 899. You have a chatzer and achsadra. They are going to combine together to make the daled amot. So that's why here in this picture you have 2 amot, right, for the Chatzer, 2 amot achsadra, which is like how do you call this? A porch.
That's extending in the position of robin, isn't it?
Yeah, but this is your chatzer. Okay? So now it says, V'chen shte diotot. The same halacha will apply to 2 different floors. That's over here. Picture 900. Right? Zo keneged zo. It says, Umiksatan asu uka. Part of them they mean an uka. You see over here. This one they mean an uka.
What's
Okay.
in the car?
Anuka was the pit, the ditch, I don't know what you want to call it, on the floor. Yo miktsatan lo asuka, et asu muka mutarin shlo asuka asurin. Okay? Fine. Says the Gemara.
says the people that didn't make the cesspool are prohibited, so the
Yeah.
other people can't use it.
No, the ones that did it are permitted.
The other people,
The other people cannot. No, the ones that made the cesspool, they're allowed to use it. The ones that didn't make it, they're prohibited to use
even
it.
if they join in and inherit with them, or else that's it.
No, obviously we're talking about that they didn't do an eruv. If they did do an eruv, then it's permitted. It should be permitted, like in any other case. Says the Gemara, my tama, Rabba, my tama. What's the reasoning? Why is it permitted to throw right into a chatzer that has 4 amot? Right? He says, Amar Rabba said, a person usually uses satay maim every single day.
Is that a gallon?
Be'arba amot. It doesn't actually tell you how much. We could find out afterwards. Remind me because I have the. You remember that thing? So it says here be'arba amot with 4 amot. So Adam rotzel zalfan, if he wants to be mitaftef the water little by little, in order that it shouldn't come up the dust. Remember, we learned this already in Masechet Shabbat, that when you have dust coming up, what do? You pour water on the floor, and then the dust settles. It doesn't come up. Yeah. Okay. Okay, fine. 34. Fine. Page 88b. So now it says pachot me'arba. If it's going to be less than 4 amot, so then you're going to throw it in one shot. Okay. If it's going to be that you made an uka, it's going to be permitted. And if not, it's going to be prohibited. Okay. Rabbi Zera says, arba amot taime. It's going to be 4 by 4 amot. The water is going to be absorbed into the ground. Okay. Pachot me'arba amot. If it's going to be less than 4 amot, lo taime. It's not going to be absorbed in the ground. My benai, what's the difference between the reasonings of Rabba and Rabbi Zirat lalacha? Amrabaya rich lekatina kebenayu. This case, where it's long but short. 902. You see, look, Jack, you have the length. It's 8 amot, but the width, is the width or the length. I don't know. You want to call it this way?
The length. The
Yeah,
length and the height.
But this is only 2.
Width and length.
Okay, width.
So the width is very narrow.
Yeah, the width is narrow and the length is 8 amot.
Well, it's going to drip out until it's a sharab.
Exactly. Yeah. So now the Gemara says, so now we learned in the Mishnah, Chatzer v'achsadra mitzarfin l'arba amot. So we already said that the Chatzer and achsadra, they're going to combine for 4 amot. Bisham al-Rabbi Zera nicha. According to Rabbi Zera, it's actually going to be good. Because according to him, even in a case of aroch v'tzah, is going to be permitted. So for example, here, it's going to be aroch v'tzad. You have 4 amot by 2 amot, and here 4 amot by 2 amot. So here, right, this area over here is going to have 4 amot from here to here.
What picture you want?
903.
They're calling
Yeah.
it a portico, whatever that is.
I don't know that. I don't know what it is.
Extra area. Portico. Like a thing people would sit under and relax.
Yeah, okay. Next. Ela Rabba Kashya, but according to Rabba, it's going to be a question. So answers the Gemara, Tigma Rabbi Zera, Liba de Rabba, Rabbi Zera answered it according to Rabba, Be'achsadra me'alechet apene kol ha'chatzer kula. We're talking about an achsadra which is going on top of the entire chatzer.
Must be a new picture then. No? Yeah.
Yeah, 904. Okay, picture 904. The entire thing.
I don't know. What is the question, Rabbi? I lost myself now here. What's the question?
Minimum amount
No,
of
we were trying to figure out the area in order to permit throwing the water outside. So we just answered that it cannot be like this, right? But rather it has to be like this. That it's all connected. 4 amot here. From here to here.
Whether you can
Not like
combine
here.
the chatzer with the portico or not.
Yeah, can you divide it from here and here? Because here you had 2 and here you had 2. Here you have 4 and here you have 4. Right? So, but it can't be like that. It has to be like this. So now the Gemara is going to say, Tashema, we're going to try to bring another proof. Chatzer shem ba'arba amot. Yeah, al arba amot. When you have a chatzer that's not 4 by 4, and shofchin l'tocha mayim b'Shabbat, you cannot throw water into it on Shabbat. Bishlam el Rabba. This is good. According to Rabba, it's good. But according to Rabbi Zera, you have a question. So he says, why was he said that even if it's going to be aruka v'tzara, even if it's going to be long but skinny, but like thin, like not thin, you cannot do so. So Rabbi Zera is going to answer you, who is this? Is the rabbis. Umatznitin and Mishnah is Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov. Because the rabbis is the Mishnah, the Chachamim of Mishnah, they said you're not allowed to throw it into the beef. And according to Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov, you were allowed to do it. So it says the Gemara, who's pushing you to say that our Mishnah is in accordance to Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov? So Amar Rava answers, Matnitin kashite. Our Mishnah was difficult to him, right? Why? My idia the Tanya chatzer shepechuta. Why do we learn a chatzer which is open? Litni chatzer she'em. Just say that basically, why do we say that the chatzer is talking about a case where you don't have the shiur, right? Just say that you don't have 4x4 amot.
You have to make a sword.
Yeah, elalav shemamina, but rather can teach you the Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov, that is Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov, shemamina, and therefore that's what it is. That means that's why Rabbi Zira said it's like Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov, as he said, we're talking about the reasoning is because it gets absorbed in the ground. And therefore you're allowed to throw the water into this.
As long as it's not more than 2 seah.
Yeah. Okay. So says the Gemara, "V'hamid the Sefer Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov, Reisha Rabbi Eliezer." So one second, if the Sefer is Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov, obviously the Reisha is not Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov. So the Gemara says, no, the entire thing, Kula Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov. The entire thing is Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov. And this is what it's lacking in the Mishnah. This is what you have to say. When you have a chatzer which is lacking for amot, and Shabbat, you're not allowed to throw water into it in Shabbat. Ha'arba amot, if it's already got 4 amot, shofchin, you're allowed to throw the water into it in Shabbat. Why? Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov says, biva kamur arba amot. Right, when you have a biva which is 4 amot into the Reshut Rabim, shofchin into Chomayim, Shabbat, you're allowed to throw
into a conduit on your property.
Exactly, and it's going through into it. That's why I told you. That's the conduit. Yeah. Very good. Next, 2 dots. Okay, Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov. Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov, he comes and he says, Biva Kamur. So says the Gemara, Ya matznitin de lo kachananya. So our Mishnah is not like Chananya. Why? The Tanya was learned to the Braita. Chananya says, Afilu gag mea ama lo yishpoch. Even if you have a gag which is 100 amot, you're not allowed to throw it down. If Yishena gag asu livlo ala lekech, because the gag does not absorb, but rather it comes down, right? Like a kiluach, like a shower. I don't know what you want to call it there. It goes into the gutters, and therefore it's like throwing it into the bivitz. Exactly. Okay, so Tana, we learned in the Braita, when you one of these words, right, that you have to make a nuka which has a satayim bimota chama only during the summer times. That you want it to go outside and you don't want it to get dirty. Aval bimota geshmima during the winter time. That anyway everything is already dirty because it's winter. Shofech v'shoneh v'eno nimna. You're allowed to throw it out, and there's no problem. My tama, what's the reasoning? Amar Rava says, Adam rotzeh shibalu b'ayim b'mkoman. Because during the winter time, you want that the water should be absorbed in its place, because you don't care if it's going to be stay in the chatzer or not.
Muddy anyway.
It's going to be muddy anyway. You've got the snow, the this, right? If you guys lived in a place like that, it's all dirty. Here, I'm saying there's no snow, there's no nothing, so it's the same all year round. But when you go to the winters, it becomes all dirty anyway. So Amalei Abaye comes and he says, "Vare shofchin da'adam rotzeh sheyibalu, ktani lo yishpoch." He says, 1 second, we're talking about shofchin. So a person wants it to be absorbed in the ground, right? So if so, right, we already learned lo yishpoch according to the rabbis. So what are you talking about? You told us in the Mishnah lo yishpoch according to the rabbis. Now why? If anyway it's dirty, so what do you care? Yeah. So says the Gemara, what are we dealing with? He says, Amalei hatam over there. What are you going to suspect for? If you're going to suspect, if it's going to dirty your chatzer, it's already dirty. If it's going to be, there's going to be a gezerah that people are going to say that a person has a certain sinor, like a certain gutter, which is coming and pouring out the water. The majority of the gutters are like that. So they're going to say it's coming from the gutter and it's megeshamim, right? What's the problem?
But in the case of a conduit, the sages prohibit pouring water directly into it during the dry season.
Right.
You will see it discharging into the true.
Right, but they're not going to say that it's rainwater. It's not raining.
Pour water directly.
Yeah. Okay. So Amar of Nachman says of Nachman, "Bimota geshamim uka machzik satayim notrin lo satayim." During the winter time, if you have a chatzer that has an uka that is a bet satayim, so it gives you satayim as well. Machzik seah notrin lo seah. If it's a seah, it gives you a seah. Bimota chama, but during the summertime, machzik satayim notrin lo satayim. If it's 2, it's 2. However, those seah and notrin lo kulikar doesn't give you anything, and that's why you're not allowed to pour water inside of it.
What's the reason? that one is two satine, and one is one.
This says
Is
in the
it
rainy
big,
season.
in the summer? Because in the summer, what?
Well,
In the
יש לו
summer,
חצלוקה.
when it's less than satine, it's gonna be evaporated.
Because the Mishnah's requirement to have a cesspool with a capacity of at least 2 seah applies only in the dry season. In the rainy season, a smaller cesspool will also allow pouring in the chatzar, but only up to its actual capacity.
Yeah, but not more than that. Okay.
But this has to do with the summer.
I guess in the summer, like what you said, I guess it doesn't
Because
gets
of the
absorbed and then that's
heat.
it. And then you don't get anything. So that's what he's saying. If it's only a se'ah, what I don't understand then is why if it's going to be like a bet satime, so you should also have a little bit less.
Yeah,
We
but
said 2 for
satine
2.
keilu, they want to say that this is an important
A big
amount.
amount. Okay, fine.
The rainy season is the winter, yes?
Yes.
Yes.
So now the Gemara says, Bimota chama nami, also during the summer, machzik se'ah, netu le'se'ah. Why? It should also give you the se'ah. So says the Gemara, right? Why? He says, gezerah dilmati liten le'satayim. No, it's a gezerah, maybe you're going to put a satayim there. Because that's what you usually use. So that's why, because you're going to put too much, and then it's going to go out to the Reshut Rabin. Okay? So says the Gemara, Yachi, if so, bimota geshavim nam nigzor. Also, bimota geshavim, makes it gezerah. Maybe they're going to continue pouring, and then it's going to go out to the Reshut Rabin. So says the Gemara, hatam, right over there, my nechushta, what are you going to suspect for it? Imishum kilkul, if it's going to be because of kilkul, hamikal kelevekaima, it's already dirty. Imishum gizera shema yom roots, if it's going to be gizera that people are going to start looking and saying that he's pouring it directly to the Reshut stam tzinunot mekalachim. Majority of the tzinunot, they're going to pour there. So Amar Abaye says, hilkach, therefore, afilu kur v'afilu kuraim, even if it's going to be a kur which is 30 seah, or 60 seah, which is kuraim of water, it's going to be the same halakha, not like Rav Nachman, that he said that it had to be dafka, the shiur of the satine, of the right, and that's it. Okay? Fine. 2 dots. So we're talking about 2 different places, 2 different like porches, balconies, right, opposite each other. Sorry, we're talking about, the balconies, but we're talking about the top floors, the aliyot. So Amar Rava, right, the top floors.
Which picture?
We saw it before, it wasn't now.
Okay.
Let me see, I'll show you. Go back to picture 900.
Okay, it's only 4 away. That's the one?
Yeah.
Afilu irvu.
So says the Gemara, it says, Amar Rava says, Afilu irvu. Even if they made an eruv, right, what does that mean? Between the 2 of them,
Doesn't help.
it's still going to be prohibited.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so Amar Abaye says, my tama, what's the reason? It doesn't make sense. If you made an eruv, it should be permitted.
Yeah,
So says the Gemara, Ilema mishum nefisha demai. If you're going to tell me that it's too much water, right, and therefore the problem is that you're going to have so many people coming and putting it in the same pit, and now it's going to go out to the Reshut Rabin, so you have too much water. Batanya, we learned to the Braita, achali uka v'achali gistra. What happens if one person has an uka or a gistra? Gistra is a broken utensil of a split vessel of earthenware, right? Or a berecha, or of like a pool, va'areva, or a small like a sira. Sira is like a fish pond, yeah.
Or a small boat.
Yeah. Berechav maim is like a small pool, or the small sira is a boat. Ve'af al pi shenitmalu maim erev Shabbat. Even though it got full of water on erev Shabbat, shofchinu tucha maim Shabbat. You could pour water in it on
They're
Shabbat.
using this thing to put the sewage in.
Yes. So basically, what happening is that even though you know for sure that if you're adding water into it and you already had water on erev Shabbat, that for sure water is going out to the Reshut Rabim, it's still going to be permitted. So the same thing.
Why? Because it's indirect. Even though
Yes.
you know that it's going to
Fall out, it's indirect. It's not directly that you're pouring it into the Reshut Rabim. So the Gemara says, so you're right. So what do you have to say? You have to say like this. Amarava, right? Peitet Amud Aleph, we're finishing the perek. Lo shanu ela shelo irvu. What are we talking about? Where you didn't make an eruv. But irvu, mutarin. You're right. That's what I answered you at the beginning, if you remember. That's logic. Logic just tells you made an eruv. It's going to be permitted. So says the Gemara, Vechi lo irvu
just
ma'tamano.
reversed the opinion. Remember, they said they couldn't use it.
Yeah, we just reversed it. We say I have to. You have to be that you're able to use it. Right? So it says the Gemara, Vechi lo irvu ma'tamano. So if they didn't make an eruv together, so why would it be prohibited? That means even though they're not allowed to carry, right? They're not bringing the water to the chatzer. They're just throwing the water, right, into the, right, from the diuta, and it goes downwards.
Indirectly.
Indirectly. So Ravashi says, Gezerah dimat elapuki mimane debatim lata. No, but maybe you're gonna Gezerah. The Gezerah is maybe you're gonna take it with a utensil to there, and that's gonna be the problem that you're carrying it and you didn't make an eruv. So if you didn't make an eruv, it's gonna be a problem. Hadran alach ketzah mishtatfin.
What's the difference between Gezerah and Takam?
We did more